Welcome back to Virtual Reality Game Dev Ed. This is the second tutorial video for our friend Sky in our MakeHuman and Blender Advanced tutorial series here. Okie dokie. So I went ahead and imported this model at full size to show everyone how to set this up right. First of all, we want to go ahead and talk about the rendering. Go ahead and click render image, and we will see first of all this model comes complete with our texture and everything. However, if you just imported your model with the default camera and lamp, it's going to be at a very bad angle. So come back down here, jump back to your 3D view, and we're going to get this ready, this camera and lamp ready to render this scene right, first of all. So go ahead and click the camera. Okay. Now the first thing we want to do is come up under our object menu on our properties panel. Okay. We see its rotation is set to some funny angle. We actually want to set all of these to 0 real quick, and I'll show you what will happen. Let's go ahead and press 1 on our keyboard to go to our front view. When we see our camera's pointing straight down, let's go ahead and press 7 on our number pad, and see that this little arrow off the top of the camera here, this is actually the top of our camera. We see it is right along the x-axis that we would want to rotate it to make it face this properly. So first thing we want to do is right under rotation and change this to 90 degrees, and that will actually change it to face the proper direction. Now we want to hit 1 again on our number pad, and we want to set this camera up kind of sort of the middle of our character. Okay, and then go back to render that image, and we'll see that we're still way too close. Okay, come down here, go back to 3D view, hit 3 on your number pad to get to the right side, and scoot the camera back quite a bit. Now you can see here, this is actually the angle in the camera view. Okay, so if I were to render this right now, I could guess that I'm gonna still cut off the head. And that's not exactly what I want to do here. One thing I want to do, I want to render the nicest image possible. So I'm going to, well, first let me go ahead and render the image and show you what's going on. Now we almost have it wide enough, however, we're still way too short. So I'm going to go ahead and change this and make this perfectly square. Actually, let's go ahead and change both of these to, say, 2000 pixels. This is our resolution. We want this, we're just gonna go ahead and leave a square real quick. Change your camera to 2000 by 2000 and go ahead and click the render image again, and the first thing we notice is that it will actually change the shape that we're rendering here. Now we're rendering a nice square. Okay, so that's good enough for now. For the camera position, next thing you want to do, if we zoom in really close, we see a lot of bad detail here in our image. When you're rendering, you definitely want the best image possible. So the first thing you want to do is actually change this all the way up to 100% and go ahead and render that image. Now this will take a bit longer to render. However, this machine is built for rendering, so again, I have a very fast rendering time. And now when I zoom in again, now we see quite a bit more detail and a lot less pixelation, which is nice. The next thing we need to do is actually change our lights. Okay, so come back into your 3D view, rotate yourself a little bit. Oh, let's Control Z, I didn't want to move that. A to deselect everything. Make sure you're not moving things around. Select your light. First thing we want to do is actually move this. This is actually a point light, so we can move it a little bit higher. We kind of want it to be at a kind of a top angle on our character a little bit. So press 1 on your number pad so you can see exactly where we're going. Kind of put it by the face. Put a little bit offset to the left. Okay. And go ahead and render that image and see how that looks. Now we see we have a little bit better lighting. However, it's still a little bit too dim. So what we're going to do is go back into our 3D view. While the light is still selected, you should see in a special little objects menu here in our properties for object data, which looks kind of like a light. That specifically describes this light itself. Now we want to go ahead and change this into a sun first of all. Put it right back where it was. That's not what I meant to do. Okay, now we want to rotate this as well. So come back into your object menu, put it at 0, 0, 0 to make sure it's not going in funny ways to begin with. Okay, and then we want to point it not directly at him, but kind of sort of down. We want to go along the x-axis again. So let's say 85 degrees. That's a little bit too much. Let's go to 75 degrees. And that's about right where we want to be. Now we also want to offset it a little bit on the z-axis. So let's go ahead and offset this by, say, 20 degrees. No, that's not the direction we want to go. So let's say negative 20 degrees. And that's about the direction we want to be heading. Kind of sort of directly at our character, but more towards the middle of his body. Okay, now go ahead and click back on this camera image and then render that image and see how we look. Now one thing you notice about the sun immediately is that a heck of a lot brighter than the point light. That's why I like to use the sun a lot. It is a really good light to use. So now we're going to get into a little bit of the model. The first thing you will notice here on your model is that your clothes actually line up a little too closely to your body's mesh. In 3D graphics, in graphics design, we have a little bit of an issue with the capability of very close polygons. You know, we say if we went back to 3D mode real quick. Okay, let's go ahead and select our character. Press home on your keyboard to center him, and then go ahead and press Z on your keyboard. Now what we see here is wireframe, what we just did. Now I just selected the wireframe for the sweater mesh, we see two different wireframes here. We see the wireframe for our model's body, and we see the wireframe for the shirt. Okay. A polygon is a multi-sided face, a simple face. What we have here in both of these models, we actually have three separate models here all together. We have a pair of jeans, we have our human. Let me go ahead and select it this way. We have our jeans, we have our sweater, and we have the human itself. Okay, so there's three different sets of mesh. Okay, now all of these square shapes or triangles, all these polygons are multi-sided faces. Most of these are either squares. In Blender there are only squares and triangles. You can actually, I believe, make faces with more than that, but you really only want to use squares and triangles here. Okay. We're going to select our sweater. Press Z again to get back into regular mode, object non-wireframe mode. And we see, first of all, there's all kinds of places on our model where our skin mesh is actually poking through. This is one of the problems with graphic design. When you get two meshes too close together, they don't really, the program doesn't know which one you prefer to have showing up. So you have to set up your models right. You actually have to make your shirt model a little bit better. So what we're going to do here, while your shirt is selected, go ahead and jump into edit mode. Just hit tab on your keyboard, and we see we have a very low poly model for a shirt here. Low poly means we don't have too many polygons made up here. We actually want a little bit of a better model of a shirt to work with. So the first thing you want to do, if all of your add-ons are put on, like I've told everyone, we should have a subdivide option right up here. Okay, go ahead and click that, and it will give you a few different options down here. This is the specific menu. You can actually change how smooth it is or how much it breaks, make it less smooth and whatnot. You can change where exactly it subdivides here, but we want to go ahead and just leave that all the same and go ahead and render that model just with a single subdivision. Okay, go ahead and jump back to object mode, hit tab on your keyboard, and we still see a couple spots that'll stick through, but immediately we see that just subdividing that t-shirt and making it a higher polygon model actually really helped the image. See, from our front view we don't see any more skin poking through. So that's the first step you want to do right when you get your model. You actually want to subdivide the shirt and make it a bit more realistic. Okay, so I'm about out of time for this video. We have gone through a little bit of introduction here with MakeHuman, so that's a good place to stop. I will see you all again soon though.